Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 413. It is Wednesday, April the 12th, 2023, and we're glad to be here tonight with you, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 4 a.m. in Ukraine, 6 out in California, and wherever you're at tonight or tomorrow, whenever you're watching this update, we thank you. This is day 413 of the war in Ukraine. As always, we appreciate your comments, your subscriptions, your donations, everything that you do to make this community great. And for those of you, we're gaining more people on Patreon. I highly recommend it. Dropped some video there a little while ago. Pretty interesting, of a unit that we were embedded with. Just a little bit too much to show here on YouTube. I really do not want to be taken off the air. So I've already had one issue. So we'll try to avoid that. But we do share and give everything that we can. So thank you for being here. Tonight, we're going to begin with a continuation of the leaked documents. Right now, Reznikov has been meeting with Austin in Washington, D.C., a trip from the Ukrainian defense minister, meeting, of course, with the American Lloyd Austin, and they've been discussing everything, including the leaked documents. Now, what we are finding out, and this is really interesting, we've adjusted our streams to be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. It gives us more time to translate, to make sure information is clear. And as the war is protracted and goes on, it allows us to consolidate information to share the most accurate and best with you. What has come out in the last 48 hours? Ukraine has said, and this is through Reznikov, this is also through Schmeigel and through President Zelensky, that some of the information leaked is true. We know that we are having a problem right now. They're trying to get their hands around this. Honestly, who knows what to believe, and we're not here to comment on that. We know that there were leaks. It does not only affect Ukraine, but it affects America. It affects Europe, Russia, China, you name it. Everything is affected through this. In fact, since the data has been leaking, China has been ramping up rather, their rhetoric as far as a potential attack against Taiwan. Their war games, and even the representatives from Taiwan are saying, we're expecting it. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. So we shall see. But in connection, not saying there's a correlation, but in connection with leaked documents, we're hearing even more rumblings out of that region as well. Of course, Israel and all the things that are happening around their borders, both internally and externally. But back to Ukraine. Ukraine is saying some of the leaked information is true and some of it is not true. Now, you guys recognize, as well as I do, that's the best answer they could give. Because now they leave the world wondering, okay, which parts are true, which parts are not true. Very, very wise answer that Ukraine has given there over the last 24 hours or so, answering the questions surrounding the leak of classified documents out of America. Now, with that said, part of the leaked document and information was American intelligence saying that on the upcoming offensive that is expected spring or summer or whenever it may be, I remind you that Ukraine has said we have no magic data, no magic pill. Of course they do not now. Of course they do not now. We'll talk about more of that in a moment and one of the main reasons why. But Ukraine has said that we're not going to tell you when it's happening. United States intelligence, the leak coming out says we're not expecting big ground gains from the Ukrainian offensive. Whenever it comes, it's not going to be like their last offensive. And let me show you that here. Their last offensive, what United States is referring to is all this zone in the green here to the east and southeast of Kharkiv. Of course, Izum, Kupiansk, all of these cities and regions were occupied by Russian forces, but when Ukraine did a counteroffensive, they pushed the Russian forces back to the current line. The same down along all these lines, everywhere that was green. This is where the last counteroffensive did a major pushback against the Russian forces. United States coming out with the leaked document saying we're not expecting that same type of counteroffensive from the Ukrainian forces. That much territory is not going to be gained. That was a part of the intelligence links. Second, the intelligence leaks also stated the United States understanding through their intelligence of the losses. I personally believe that these are accurate. There has been many people that have come out and said, oh, Russia's lost, and I mean through death, 200,000 soldiers, 300,000 soldiers, and I've never thought that to be true. We've heard 100,000. I've just been there, and I had a feeling for what it was, and this kind of confirms it. So the United States has come out, and here's a good image to think about when I'm giving you these numbers here, but you see these soldiers standing out in the east, just in a completely destroyed street there. That is in eastern Ukraine. But intelligence links said the United States has evaluated that Russian forces have 35 to 43,000 dead and up to 150,000 wounded. Now, I personally think those numbers are spot on. That's from what I hear inside Ukraine. It also says that Ukrainian losses are between 15 and 17,000 dead and 113,000 wounded. These are big numbers on both sides. Of course, larger on the Russian side. But these are a part of the leaks and the information. And I think this is some of the valid information coming out. And the third thing was the leaked documents were suggesting that they see no way that Ukraine can do an offensive at least until summer. So remember, we were hearing about the late winter and then the early spring and then the late spring, and now we're all the way out. It's going to happen in the summer. I have a meme, actually, I'm going to show you guys about that at the end of the update tonight. But I want to suggest to you tonight, and think about this. The counteroffensive, one of the reasons that it's delayed has nothing to do with leaked documents and a leaked date. That's irrelevant, even if there was or was not. But I can tell you, Ukraine does not have the munitions at the front. It's not only about supply lines. There are supplies in Ukraine, but they're not all at the front. They're in central Ukraine. They're in western Ukraine. They're still in Europe. They're still in nations around the world that have promised and made promises and made promises. So, yes, Ukraine has been accumulating, but not the mass that everybody thinks. They're defending every day the lines that are current. One of the major issues is supply. So, not just about leak dates, but it's about supply and preparation. So, this is a typical image here that I wanted to show you of the war front, and this picture was just actually released today. Now, the other major thing that has happened over the last 48 hours is the video that has been leaked of the beheading. It's the second one that has went public and kind of viral. There was one in December, and now here we are in April, and there is another. And I can tell you this has happened more than twice. UN chief horrified by the video showing Ukrainian prisoner of war being beheaded. Antonio Guterres demand perpetrators to be held accountable. Well, here's what I'm going to say, Mr. Guterres, and I know you don't have responsibility for this, but the last time I checked, Mr. UN General Secretary, Russia is the chair of the UN Security Council. So every argument now is invalid. You cannot sit here and scream that you're horrified, but why what has happened? Ukraine has already, and this is, I like the 48-hour window. Ukraine has validated that it has happened, A. B, they've confirmed it was their soldier, and C, they've confirmed that it was an enemy force, whether it was Russian forces or now they're leaning toward it being a Wagner mercenary, Wagner former convict that is now a hired military guy for the Wagners fighting there, mostly in Bakhmut. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Regardless, it is a part of the invading forces. Wagner, you're fighting with and for Russia, period. So, UN, you being horrified is understandable. These guys are sitting as the chair of the UN Security Council. I can tell you now that Russia has came out publicly and they have stated officially that they are reviewing the video and that they will look into it further for validation and confirmations. I can also tell you that the president of Czech, his name is, he's got an interesting name. His name is Peter Pavel, which is kind of like Peter. This is the president of Czechoslovakia. He said, this video now moves the invading nation of Russia on an equal playing field with that of ISIS. The world for the last 20 years has been horrified by what ISIS does. And you've seen the videos that came out regularly of beheadings and tortures. He says, Russia is no different. They're doing the same thing to these Ukrainian forces. They're on an equal playing field. He's spot on. While, remember, they're sitting as the chair of the UN Security Council. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I would just remind you, if it is Wagner, that Wagner is Russia. Period. We said, well, they've had conflicts and misunderstandings, not being equipped. They're equipped the Russian army. They're not equipping the Wagnerites. So they're fighting for Russia. In fact, right now, they are cooperating on a very high level. This is actually not a Ukrainian map I'm showing you here, but this is actually a Russian map. We're actually going to go and see the Russian maps. Here is an update from the head of the Wagner, Prigozhin. He's talking about here Bakhmut. He's talking about the strategy of Bakhmut. And if you look on that map, you see the black arrow. Of course, all of this is in the Russian language. You see over to the right, Rossiya, Russia. You see all the green. This is their territory as they are marking it. And then you see the front lines in the bright green. You see red marking urban centers. And of course, you see the size of Bakhmut there. And he's given the update on the strategy for finishing off Bakhmut. He says in this update that would accompany these graphics that the Wagner is actually pushing in from the east, and that now Russian forces, paratroopers, their stormtroopers are pushing in from the south and from the north. He's giving an update on how they plan to finish Bakhmut. If I was to take you over here, let me go to this map and I'll show it to you. 1 second here. Here we go. It's kind of hard to find now because much of Bakhmut is covered. Remember, we were watching from the river. So what he is saying is the Wagner is pushing down this roadway here through central, what's left of Bakhmut. And the special forces from Russia cooperating are pushing from the north and pushing from the south. So a couple of things we talk about here. We see the update on Bakhmut, but additionally to that, we also see and understand that back to the beheading, even if it comes out that it was Wagner forces and Wagner special forces doing it, they're working in partnership with the Russian military. We shall see what unfolds from this, but do not be misconstrued. These are Russians. Yes. Invaders, terrorists, and the world's horrified when ISIS, the Czech president made a great statement. The world's horrified. And now equally so horrified. But ISIS didn't have representation at the United Nations. Where is the pressure going to come from? Where? I have no idea where the pressure is going to come from. But I will tell you this. Russia's not going to leave. They're not going to back down. Putin's going to fight this out until he's dead or something major happens. It's not going to change. Who? Reminds me of the old Barney Fife, Gomer saying, who is going to stand up and be a bold leader? I see no one. Guys, do you remember the bold statements that Boris Johnson would make early in the war, and the world would rally around his statements, and they would be bold and strong? That's gone from the UK now. Yes, they're still supporting majorly. Don't misunderstand me. But these bold words, these words of rhetoric that can be strong and encouraging, not only to Ukraine, but to the rest of the world, especially when madness like this happens and goes public with a beheading, it's just not there. It's definitely not coming from the United States. I do not see, it's not coming from France. Are you kidding me? France goes to China to, Macron goes to China to convince Xi to, let's try to figure a way to bring some peace here in Ukraine and figure some things out and work together. And he comes back and worthless trip. So off the table. Xi, nothing. Iran, nothing. I mean, who? Somebody tell me who? That's the problem. Well, the UN can handle it. Oh, okay. The chief of the Security Council right now is rotated to Russia. So I want to update you further tonight on this. We have a continuation of the trenches being dug for defensive positions in the southern part of Ukraine. This was updated from British intelligence, and it's not just one line that's 70 kilometers long from Melitopol over to Berdyansk, but it's actually 3 lines. And now new intelligence is coming out of a major line that are 3 lines deep. Every 10 to 15 kilometers, there's the long trench, then another one, then another one. These positions are being dug in crazily on, honestly, both sides, Ukrainian, and of course this would be the Russian side, the side of the invaders. So we shall see. Now, I want to come back to the map for a second and update you guys. There's going to be a new city you're going to be hearing about, and I want to go ahead and tell you about it now. So, of course, over here, Bakhmut, and we'll come back to that. I've got some new video out of Bakhmut that's very sad. This city of Orikhiv here on the front line where we were doing a lot of aid has been bombed very heavily in the last 24 hours. Kherson continues to be just demolished. But I want you guys to pay attention to this town right here. I'm going to zoom in for you. Skadovsk, right here. Skadovsk. So if you're looking on your own maps later and you're trying to figure where it is, just find Kherson. That's easy to find on a big map, and basically go about 5 o'clock, or just go due south and to the right a little bit, and you'll find Skadovsk. Russia is using Skadovsk now as another major place of fortification, not for a defensive line, but a grouping of troops. This signifies that we may see an outbreak here. You know, you have counteroffensive and you have counter. So we may see a push. There is a lot of troops, munitions, and of course here they can come through the sea. There's ports here, in Skadovsk right here. There's docks. Ships can load and unload. Yes, Ukraine can hit these from Kherson, but it's not easy. So Russia is using this city right here, Skadovsk, to build another big reinforcement. So we'll see if it pops on the screen and the news here as we go further over the next few days. Now, I want to show you this graphic tonight. International Monetary Fund released this document today, and it shows the continental shift, the world's biggest economies over time. And the reason I want to draw your attention to this is twofold. A, we're going to look at Russia and their movement, United States and China. So here they have evaluated the world's biggest economies, and this is off historical data coming from 1992 and then 2008. And now here we are in 2023. They've done a projection for 1 year from now, how the global economies are going to look. Well, let's just look at the top together. 1992 and 2008, United States, but coming 2024, we're going to drop into second place. Look at China, 1992 at the bottom there below Russia. They moved up to third in 08 and then projected in 24 to be number one. Most people have thought that this war and the sanctions are destroying Russia. Is it hurting them? Absolutely. Is it destroying them? No. They're getting stronger. 1992 in the ninth slot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. 2008, the ninth slot. But look at here. 2024 projected to move up to slot number 6, even ahead of Germany, Brazil, UK, and France. So when you would think economically their GDPs would be going down because of the war, actually, they are moving up on the list. So just a very interesting graphic here released by multiple agencies, but one of them International Monetary Fund and other agencies working together on this. I thought it was interesting because we've talked so many times, even from the beginning, the first sanction, we've stood by the words that the sanctions will not work, and they're not going to work. As we close out tonight, there's two things I want to show you. First of all, I want to go back to Bakhmut. We'll go to the map here, and for those of you that are new, watching on the map right here, up above Avdiivka. Honestly, it's harder to find now because it's becoming very red. I've got it in the English words for you. Of course, this road here being the supply line. I released some video on Patreon today. I just couldn't show it here. Just had a couple of explosions on it. Nothing overly graphic, but I'm just a little gun shy on what I share on YouTube sometimes. On Patreon, it's there. Very interesting. A group that we worked with, we were actually embedded with, the Wolfpack. They're right here somewhere on this road holding that position for Ukraine, and it's very difficult. But coming into Bakhmut here, tough. Today, Ukraine released some drone footage on Bakhmut. Has no sound, about a minute and a half. I'll try to keep my commentary down so that you can see it and just let your eyes be there, but I will interject here and there so people are jumping on the stream. They don't feel that they have no audio. So here it is. This is released from Ukraine today. Bakhmut, April the 12th, 2023. Today. The destruction, folks. Just I can tell you before the war, this was just a pretty town. It was actually a town that had resources. They had money. It was not a poor town. It's a mining and industrial area. Just the destruction. Look how beautiful that these homes were here with the architecture. Kind of what, Roman looking, Greek Roman. I'm going to fly back between these two, and then they're going to come over. Just absolute destruction here. I mean, thousands and thousands of people would live here. This is the main theater in Bakhmut. Gone. The road on the left will be one of the central main wide roads. They're called a prospect. It's a wider road. Central. You see the grass already coming April the 12th. This would have been a central fountain area. There would have been flowers. This is coming in to a central, probably government building here that is now gone. The head of the square. And what else can you say? Bakhmut. The thing is, no people, of course. This would be the zones, and I'll just go back to the map one more time. Right here. This would be the zone that's already in red. It's completely destroyed. So, Ukraine flying a drone over there today, getting some images. Last thing I want to share with you tonight is this. This meme come out today from Reznikov meeting with Lloyd Austin. And I thought it put a little smile on our face as we close out tonight. It's not a smile. I guess that's the bad thing to say, but it actually may be a smile. For me, it's a smile. It's a meme from today somebody made. Lloyd Austin is asking there, when is the counteroffensive going to begin? And Reznikov replies, Lloyd, don't worry about it. When it starts, I promise you, you will not be sleeping through this one. So pretty interesting there. Puts a little smile on your face. It's coming. Just this war is going to be protracted. So thank you for being here tonight. With our new schedule, every day will be on the Patreon, but our updates Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 p.m. so that we can further process the information, keep ourselves sane, be able to spend time with our families. These streams take a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of video production goes into these. So it also allows news to kind of settle out, because as the war is protracting, it takes more time now for clarity to happen. So that's what we're going to be doing there. And of course, anything breaking, crazy, or we need to go live from Ukraine with Jane or any of other of our team members, we absolutely will do that at any moment if something goes crazy in this war. Not that it is not already crazy. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, giving, donating, Patreoning, everything. We're doing everything we can to support the war effort in Ukraine and the current events happening in and around the world. Wish you guys a good night, and we'll see you in 2 days with the next update. Be blessed. We'll see you soon.